Hello, everybody. Welcome along. My name is Benjamin Bloom. This is the Benjamin Bloom Football Channel. Please leave your bias at the door and join me as we discuss Sheffield United 1, Aston Villa 0 in a dearly departed derby. I've been covering these two teams a long time. I remember being at Aston Villa, Sheffield United at Villa Park, a crazy 3-3 game. That Billy Sharp scored a hat-trick and then Villa came back with 3 goals in the last 10 minutes. And they're now both in the Premier League, and there's a bit of a sense that Sheffield United would have prepared to do it, given what's gone on this season, the Villa way around, of just surviving and then building the next season. Obviously, Blades, brilliant last season, but then the inertia's kicked in, and they've gone from mid-table down into the bottom 3. But we can't say the fat lady is singing yet, and results like this are going to keep Sheffield United interested for weeks to come. I always joke, oh, come and talk to me in 3 wins' time. Well, here's a win. Win another 2 in a row, and you never know what could happen. Anyway, 1-0 last night in this one. There are your teams. Ramsdale in goal for the Blades. Ampadu, Jagielka and Brian. None of the fabled 3, O'Connell, Basham and Egan, around. Remember, Egan got red carded in this game earlier in the season, didn't he? Baldock and Stevens wing-backs. Fleck, Norwood, Lundstrom, McGoldrick and Brewster. Up top for the Blades. For Aston Villa, it was Martinez in goal. Target, Mings, Konza. El Mohammadi still in over Cash. He's still not fit. That does unbalance Villa a little touch. Dean Smith sticks with the Grealish-less system of a 4-3-3 with Nakamba, McGinn and Ramsey without Grealish and with Barkley maybe a little bit out of form. This was very productive in the previous game, wasn't it, for Villa, where they got the win at Leeds. Traore and El Ghazi flank Watkins and Ross Barkley and Douglas Luiz, who have been first teamers, stay on the bench. Let's have a look at the action because it's coloured somewhat by the red card in the second half. But in the main, it's a game where Villa will, go away and think, oh, how did we not get anything from that game? And it's a game where Blades will say, we dug in and we've got a really good win there. 2 things can be true, ladies and gentlemen. It's not always binary. Big chance for John McGinn there. He just, what's the word? He didn't shank it, but he overcooks that one to Ramsdale's right. I mean, it's good goalkeeping from Ramsdale. Comes out and spreads himself. That's enough to put McGinn off. Ramsdale's had a good couple of games, hasn't he? Recently, after a tricky season. If he'd undercooked that even more, I think Ollie Watkins might have been able to put it in on the far post. But big chance there. Interesting one here because it's kind of rare fair contact in football, isn't it? This idea that a shoulder charge without disproportionate force can be fair. Here's Keane Bryan maybe doing just that. I mean, both players running at the same speed, both players equal force. We do often see it go in the forwards' favour, but nothing given on that one. And here's the goal. This is a great goal, actually. Obviously, I'm a bit of a Dave McGoldrick fan from his days at Ipswich, and I'm overjoyed that he's got 2 seasons at Premier League level. I thought, oh, this is a guy who's a really talented player, but just so injury-ravaged at Ipswich that never really managed to get that run. And we thought, just a few yards short of pace. But he's been brilliant for Blades. And look at that. He's going to boot that across to the far side. Where Baldock is going to pick it up. He comes inside. Now, I think Baldock's shooting here, isn't he? Just by his body shape. He's not looking to sort of curve that inwards to the far post. I think he's trying to come inside target. And in Dean Smith's words, McGoldrick comes from so deep that Smith thinks that El Mohammadi just lets it go, thinking, McGoldrick started the move way further back and he's gone. Unfortunately for El Mohammadi, who looks very static there, 27. McGoldrick is there on the far post. And, I mean, what they get in luck here, Sheffield United, I think the initial lovely pass from McGoldrick fired from left to right, and the kind of timing of his run, I think maybe it evens itself out. He does hit it into the ground and then it bounces up over Martinez. Hey, Mesut Ozil used to do that on purpose, didn't he? So maybe he did. But great work from McGoldrick. And that is going to prove to be the only goal of the game. Bertrand Traore here, decent chance here. Looking at that in isolation, maybe he should put it in. What we don't see is a crowd of players, and he works his way kind of around and through. It's excellent, but Dean Smith did lament that in the interview I saw as a big chance. Here comes the red card, and dare I say, and I don't want to upset anybody by saying it, you always upset somebody by expressing an opinion about football. I think if VAR wasn't involved in this, I don't think anyone would be battering an eyelid here. I think a bit of a storm in a teacup, I have to say. So, El Ghazi driving forward, inside left position. Phil Jagielka fouls him with El Ghazi moving in towards goal. You can see behind him, I think Keane Bryan is across from him. And behind him, sorry, it's a blurry picture. Is it Ampadu? Pass. Excuse me if I've got the wrong name there. So, there is no doubt that Phil Jagielka fouls El Ghazi. And the only question we need to ask is, does he deny an obvious goal-scoring opportunity? Now, this is where we get into a bit of pedantry and a bit of a grey area because, so El Ghazi, if Jagielka... Well, look, Jagielka's not just going to let him run through and he's obviously going to divert him slightly, but we have to go from the point the tackle is made. And if he doesn't take him down, has El Ghazi got an obvious goal-scoring opportunity? The ball is going to roll to, you can see with the hatching on the pitch, they're normally 6 yards. So he's going to be 30 yards from goal. Now, if there were players in the way and it was a long-range shot, that would be a very low XG. So is an obvious goal-scoring opportunity if he shot from the point where he is, would he obviously score? Well, that's not the criteria, is it? The idea is that El Ghazi can now maybe take one more touch and he's in a 1v1. You'd think Ramsdale would come out from, I don't know, the 28-yard point. Now, it's not obvious goal. It's obvious goal-scoring opportunity. And to me, I think there's a player coming behind. They're not going to get him before that next touch. And a very clear shot on goal, 1v1 from the keeper, albeit outside of the area. So it would come up quite low on the XG, but it's not obvious goal. It's obvious goal-scoring opportunity. Now, the referee produces a yellow card. They go to VAR to check. And I hear some of you saying clear and obvious error. Well, I think a yellow card, when a red card possibly should be given, is a clear and obvious error, isn't it? And I think maybe a little bit of frustration kicking in that, that VAR is interfering in this. But I think it is an obvious goal-scoring opportunity. And this is why VAR's there. We're asking a human being in real time to measure the foul and all the distances of the players. Surely, if he's just looking at the players, he needs a bit of help from his other officials. But if he's just looking at the players, it's going to be very hard for him to judge the distances of 3 moving men, 4 if you include Ramsdale, and the ball. So VAR, I think, has helped. And I think it's the right decision. I think it's an obvious goal-scoring opportunity. It's obviously easier for me to say that, being Blade's gone on and win the game, because there'll be less angry hordes disagreeing with me. But if you want to debate me in the comments, that's absolutely fine. Let's just make sure we get the debate framed right. The only question is, was it an obvious goal-scoring opportunity or not? I think it was. Therefore, it's a red card. Whether you agree with the rule or not is by the by, irrelevant. But I think it is a red card, and I think VAR is doing the right thing there. I have to say. And Sheffield United managed to hold out. I think Ollie McBurney comes in and plays centre back. That's a chance for Konza at the end, and it's a great win for the Blades. We lamented over and over again during the season they lose tight games. We've praised Villa actually a number of times for winning tight games, but this goes the other way, doesn't it? It's a tight game. I mean, some would argue when we look at the XG and the underlying numbers, it's not a tight game. But game state is very, very different than just looking at a load of underlying numbers. And the game state was, after that red card, with a goal lead, you're going to sit in, aren't you? You're going to concede possession. You're going to concede territory. You're probably going to concede chances. Not actually that many. There are the numbers. Look at that, 28% possession to 72, 16 shots to 9. However, only 4 to 2 on target. That is double, but it's not, a gigantic number. 7 corners to 2, 3 big chances to 1. And then if you look over at the XG, 0.8 against 2.19. So it's a fairly reasonable conclusion to reach that Villa should have scored in this game with 2.19 worth of XG. But you play the game state, don't you? And that's exactly what Sheffield United did. Is it the most viable performance in the world to go on and build on? No. But as Chris Wilder said in his post-match, people romanticise, and he spoke about a game at Everton for Sheffield United last year where they got battered and Moussa scored at the end. So, you play the game. We can look at as many numbers as we like, and I don't want to get into this kind of Ludditery and very basic, the only number that matters is goals. But that's how the points are defined, isn't it? Whether that predicts a long-term pattern or not is a different matter. Excuse me, I'm having great trouble with my eye for the last 18 hours or so. I think I've scratched the eyeball. I'm going to continue on manfully, as Sheffield United did last night. And there is the league table. So this is sort of one of Villa's fabled games in hand that they seem to have had from opening day and the Man City game being cancelled. Villa big picture is really, really good. The only sort of slight concern, if you can even call it a concern, after their late relegation escape last season, is that perhaps, an Arsenal may end up in the top 10 as you think a club of their size would do. Maybe a Leeds run, I don't know. But look, if Villa finish top half, that's fantastic. And still, 12 wins this season is equal to Chelsea and Liverpool. So they've proven themselves to be good competitors, and it's been a really good season for them. Sheffield United, well, look, they're 12 points adrift with 11 games to go. I'll trot out my normal talk to me in 3 wins' time. If they were to win the next 2, forgive me, I don't know who they're against. I haven't looked at those upcoming fixtures. They would have then 20 points from 29 games, and then you're looking at 9 from 9 to reach points parity by the end of the season. May be enough for a challenge, but I just don't think the discussion at the moment around Sheffield United should be, can they survive? It should probably be, how are they set up for the next 18 months? And I think that's what a lot of the hashtag Twitter Blades, which I sometimes look at, is the conversation around who's there next season and what's the long-term plan. But they're in the Premier League, and if they win a load of games between now and then, they'll stay in the end of the Premier League. The probability of that is possibly a little bit low at this point. Right, let me know what you think in the comments. If you're a Villa fan, top half, how viable? Really, that's the question. When's Grealish back in? When's Barkley back in? And can they revisit that 4-2-3-1 that's been really quite successful at this point? Sheffield United fans, on the red card, it's quite simple, black and white. Was it an obvious goal scoring opportunity or wasn't it? How viable and sustainable is this type of win? And I suppose a more sensible answer is, what sort of a points total can Sheffield United arrive at feasibly between now and the end of the season? Thank you everybody for watching. This has been a Dearly Departed show, which means we have to thank Jay Coyle, who is our fan sponsor for this one. Dearly Departed, also known as Ben, couldn't bear to lose, as you two can get involved over on Patreon. My apologies for kind of looking out of one eye for the whole stream. Hopefully nature will do its work and my eye will fix itself somehow. But not pleasant for the last 24 hours, let's just say. Thank you everybody for watching, and it's a big over and out from me. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button to see more videos from this channel. Hit the subscribe button and to be notified every time we upload. Ring the bell for those notifications to come through on your device. If you really want to support the channel and me as a content creator, I will be eternally grateful if you head over to the merch store and grab something, or support over on Patreon, patreon.com/Benjamin Bloom. Thank you for your time. Go and watch another video.